Welcome back, I'm the Watch King. On this video, we're going to take a very cool look at a 1603. This is not your ordinary 1603. On top of that, there's a really cool design that my client did on this watch, and I want you to see it because I've been preaching this for a very long time. Without further ado, let's hop straight into
Jumping into it, there is a lot of controversy with this watch. Now, there are a lot of people that don't even know if this watch exists. Typically, a Thunderbird is 1625 reference number. Now, I'm going to plop up a picture of this reference number. It's a 1603. Now, typically, when you see a 1603, it is this watch, right? This is a 1603 typically. And it's the engine turn bezel, always stainless steel, right? 1601, they have the two-tone and the stainless with the white gold. And then 1625 should be this. Now, I don't know at the beginning, this one's dated in the 70s, so I don't know if it could be a few factors. Number one, I didn't get this watch. This was given to me by there's a client of mine who wanted a bracelet. I put the bracelet on. He's considering it, right, for this video. This bracelet is original, like it would come on this watch. We'll get to the case back in a second. So this case is real Rolex, right? It is 100% 1603. The reference number's right. And it has a gold crown and it has the bezel. So right away, I never would have picked that up, right? By just, because 1603, maybe there was one, right? Because I don't know everything, I'll be honest. So I have to do research. So after doing some research, and I wasn't focused on the dial, I was mostly concerned about the bracelet because that's what we were trying to change. Now, in the first iteration of this review, I took a little bit closer look at this dial. Now, this dial, as you can see here, it says T Swiss made T. The text isn't as perfect as you typically see on a factory one, and also you can see the facets on there. So this dial, I'm about 85%, more like almost basically 100, that this is a aftermarket dial. The lume doesn't match the hands. The hands are patinaed. The lume on the actual dial is not. Now there's a slight chance that it isn't. They made something like this, but I'm pretty sure that it is aftermarket just because of the text, the way it is. It's a very nice aftermarket dial. I'm not going to say that it isn't, but typically it's T Swiss T. It's never T Swiss made T. That came later, and then also just the text just doesn't, as we went over, right? So this crown is original. That is a gold crown. I mean, heavily worn, but gold crown, and the bezel, right? So if a person wanted to convert this to a 1603, it's very much possible, right? It is very, very much possible. You could have went and got a bezel, right? This is not a very honest thing to do, either factory or aftermarket. I mean, this bezel is really nice, so I assume it's factory, right? But who knows? These manufacturers, man, they can make a bezel, right? So, I mean, I think it's factory. It's 18, I checked, right? So somebody could have got a aftermarket dial, right? They could have put a crown on, it's not that hard, and put a bezel on and sold it to a gentleman who wanted this turnograph, because that's what he told me. He asked for a turnograph. So if I was a dealer, right, and I did that, I would be a very dishonest. Basically, you're sort of, I don't want to say you're selling a fake watch, question mark, because all the parts are real, right? Except for that dial, right? And it's a great aftermarket one. I would love to know your opinions, but just, I mean, if you compare it to this one, right? This is from the same era, slightly older. This is late 60s. This is early 70s. But just look at the text, right? Even Datejust is a lot better. That's the type of stuff, and that's where I see it. Even this one, right? So we come back to here. You don't see Swiss made till the 90s. This is my watch. Now, this is a Quickset 16013, but if you look closely here at the there, you see how the lume is patinaed perfectly also, but if you look, it says Swiss T, Swiss. This is Swiss made, and then if you look even to more details, the Datejust is perfect. You see that the chronometer certification, it's written perfect. So I compare it with other watches that I own. That's another way of doing it also. So going back to this watch. So the story is a guy wanted a Thunderbird, right? So he went up to a dealer. The dealer doesn't want to go source one, right? Whatever the case may be, right? He doesn't want to. He has this 1603. He's stuck with it. So he gets a very cheap aftermarket dial. I mean, it's well made, but you know what I mean. They're not that expensive for aftermarket. You put an aftermarket dial in. You get a bezel. You put it on, and you get a crown. This watch did not come on this bracelet either. This is just, my bracelet. I put it on. So you do that. Maybe it cost you, let's say more than that. But if you're a wholesaler, it's whatever. So it costs you less than $1,000 probably to do all that. And then you sell the watch for $3,000 more because now it's a two-tone Thunderbird, right? Very dishonest. That's why a lot of vintage dealers get in trouble. Now, he told me he bought it from a dealer. That's why I'm saying it. I've seen another example, which we'll go into in another video. I'm not going to pull up pictures and everything. But I had another client reach out, Chris. He's a great guy, and I'll tell his story in another video. But he had a quick set stainless watch, and his grandpa liked two-tone a lot. So he put a two-tone bezel, or a rose gold, I think, factory bezel he found somewhere. And then he changed the dial, and the bracelet was aftermarket, and everything was aftermarket. And we made that watch 100% original. It was an incredible transformation. It's my favorite thing to do. So that's what I'm planning on doing with this watch, but I wanted to make a quick video just to be aware, right? If I was looking at this watch alone, which I did at the beginning, you could almost get fooled, right? I mean, the Swiss teammate isn't very well done, and the certain things like the chronometer isn't as crisp as it is in the factory. So let's talk about the highlights. The highlights, he bought a real Rolex, right? He didn't get scammed. It's technically a Rolex. Now this might be factory replaced, or even, I'm 90% sure it's factory, right? Just because of the way it is. You typically don't see them. So we turn around to the back. This is pretty cool. So it's got the right caliber, right? They all came with 1575. So let's take a look. It's sapphire. He has the original case back, so don't worry about that he told me. So 1570, cool thing. I always tell people it's not a lot of money. Just make sure it's pressure tested and it's a good case back. You can get them pretty much anywhere, eBay probably, and AliExpress, something like that. You can get these cheap case back sapphires. It even says Oyster Perpetual Date Just, so you know it's for this watch. Really cool. I think it's fantastic. He did a great job there. You get to see cool, beautiful movement. And I don't know why Rolex didn't do that. Of course, they didn't do it because it wasn't considered high horology, or blah, 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 blah. But it's very cool that that's done. And this is the watch. So let me know your opinion. What do you think happened? What's the story with this watch? Do you think Rolex actually made this watch two-tone, even though I did a ton of research? I could never find an example of a 1603 with a Thunderbird bezel. There's typically a 1625 is typically the reference number for the Thunderbird. Let me know your opinions in the comments down below. Stay tuned for that other story. I will love to tell you that other story. So thank you, and I will catch you in the next one. Have a great day.